A couple of updates ago, Behavior implemented new variations for all of the 5 MacMillan estate maps. Now, the first time I saw this, I was kind of confused. Why would they add new versions for these maps, which apart from the graphical update and the removal of a few problematic loops, have pretty much stayed the exact same ever since Dead by Daylight's release? Well, now after I've gotten to play on them for a bit, I can confirm that these maps are okay to say the least. But how okay exactly? Well, in this video we're going to find out by showcasing 2 of the new MacMillan maps and comparing them to their older iterations. Keep in mind that both versions of these maps are currently in the game, so the old ones have not gotten removed or anything like that. But without any further ado, let's get right into the video. Starting off, we've got the new Groaning Storehouse. Now, this map is a fair bit smaller compared to the original version. And as you can see, the new one only has 5 jungle gyms instead of 7 on the old one, and the pockets on the original version are missing from the new one. Now, on the right corner of the map we have the shack, which as you all know contains a very strong window vault and a god pallet. The shack can rotate itself, so sometimes the window vault may face the edges of the map, and other times it may be oriented towards the middle parts of the map. Something to keep in mind is that 2 filler pallet tiles are able to spawn on both sides of the shack, and the pallets in them are usually quite safe. However, note that pretty much every single filler pallet tile is also able to spawn a hill instead, so these 2 pallets aren't always guaranteed. Right beside one of these filler tiles is a cluster of 2 so-called maze tiles. Now, some time ago Behavior implemented a rule for all MacMillan maps where no 2 maze tiles on the map are going to be the same. So for example, these cannot both be pallet gyms or TL walls, instead they're always going to be something like a short wall jungle gym and a double window tile, a variant gym and a 4-lane, etc. These 2 maze tiles right here are usually very good for survivors, especially if you get one of the window vaults to connect with something on the other maze tile, or maybe even a filler pallet if there is one nearby. To the side of these 2 maze tiles you're going to find either a water tower or a lumber pile. These don't really offer much gameplay opportunities, so we aren't going to spend much time on them. Moving on the left corner of the map there is yet another maze tile, which is usually quite isolated from the rest of the map, however a filler pallet is also able to spawn right next to it. Now over here we have a pathway which leads to the top part of the map. This pathway sometimes spawns a so-called straight tile, which also has the possibility of containing a very strong pallet. However, other times this space is completely empty and there are literally no resources, so bear that in mind. At the end of this pathway is yet another maze tile, which is also connected to another pathway. The same rules apply to this one as well, as in there can either be a god pallet or a massive dead zone. This pathway ends at a filler tile, which can spawn a pretty decent pallet or simply a hill. And right beside that there is one more maze tile, which once again can be connected to a filler pallet. Lastly, we can't forget the main building in the center, which is always guaranteed to spawn 2 window vaults, 1 pallet and a breakable wall next to one of the windows. The main building is also able to rotate, so its orientation may vary on different versions of the map. Now, this map doesn't have that many pallets, as you can see the usual amount is somewhere between 9 or 11, which is a lot less compared to the 8 to 16 that the old version can spawn, but keep in mind that some of them might be interconnected with other window loops. Another thing to bear in mind is that the middle part of the map is usually quite open, so that could be something that may hinder you if you're playing a stealth killer. Overall, even though this map may feature quite a bit of interconnected loops, I would definitely say that it's a lot more manageable for killers, for the simple reason that the map is a fair bit smaller, its layout is more linear, and there aren't that many pallets compared to the old version of the Groaning Storehouse. Still, this new variation is probably leaning more towards the survivor side, although not as much compared to the original map. Now, the first thing you'll notice about this new variation of the Suffocation Pit map is that the main building and the shack are quite close to each other, unusually close in fact. I think the only other map in the game that does something similar to this is, I guess, the reworked version of Fractured Cowshed, but still, even in that one, the 2 landmarks are a fair distance away from each other. Anyways, as you can see, the amount of pallets on this map varies quite a bit, with them usually being in the 9 to 14 range. Despite that, from the many times that I've ran tests on this map, I can confidently say that the window vault quantity is typically quite constant, with them usually being somewhere around 10 or 11. Note that this number also includes edge map tiles like for example Z-walls, so just bear that in mind. Once again, both the shack and the main building are able to change their orientation, so sometimes some window vaults may face the inner parts of the map, and other times they may be oriented towards the edges. Between the main building and the shack you'll sometimes find a couple of filler pallets, but more importantly, a maze tile will always be located here. There are no set rules for this one, it can be any of the like 8 or 9 maze tile types that are able to spawn on the MacMillan estate realm. Making our way to the middle of the map, this part right here usually contains quite a bit of filler pallet spawns, which are not always guaranteed since of course sometimes a hill is also able to spawn. On both sides of these filler tiles are 2 spots for the water tower and the lumber pile. Now these cannot both be the same structure, so if one of them is the water tower, the other one is guaranteed to be the lumber pile. Not that it really matters honestly, but that's just something to keep in mind. Perhaps you may find it useful for navigational purposes, I don't know. Now, if we take a look at the original map, you might notice that there are these map borders that extend into the actual map, therefore making the center into a kind of choke point. The new suffocation pit doesn't have these, so that eases the map traversal quite a bit in my opinion. The amount of maze tiles in the new and old variations of this map are the same, so both suffocation pit iterations feature a total of 5 maze tiles. However, in the new version they are more spread out as you can see, and unlike the old map they are not all clustered in one spot. Even then, the new suffocation pit still features 2 clusters of maze tiles. One of them is located on the top left corner of the map. These 2 over here are literally right next to each other, so depending on the RNG you might get a pallet that is connected to a window vault, or even 2 window vaults interconnected with each other. Additionally, over here there is a possible filler pallet spawn, but more importantly, on the bottom left corner of the map there is yet another cluster of 2 maze tiles. Now sometimes I've seen both of these be pretty strong tiles. For example, you can get a long wall jungle gym and a trash pile gym, which is honestly kind of nuts. But not only that, these 2 maze tiles can be connected to a filler pallet over here, so there is definitely quite a bit of RNG involved here. Sometimes this tile can also be a hill. Now from what I've seen, the generators on this new suffocation pit are generally quite well spread out, so I don't think there are that many opportunities for 3-genning on this map, which is the exact opposite of the old suffocation pit where if the survivors aren't careful they might 3-gen themselves on one side of the map. Well, yeah, I guess that was it. Do you think Behavior's map design is getting better? Let me know down in the comments. A strange fact that I wanted to share with you was that according to the DBD wiki, these new variations of the MacMillan maps are indicated by Roman numerals after the name, so something similar to the Badam preschool maps. But in-game when you load into a match, these supposed Roman numerals don't show up as far as I'm concerned, and the only place where they are visible is actually in the custom game map selection screen, which I guess is fine, I don't know, I just find it kinda weird. Anyways, let me know if you enjoyed this video by leaving a like, and also I would be glad if you considered subscribing as well. Thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!